Karma is part of the judicial system. It is a sentence that is handed down, so to speak, from the judge of your action, your own soul. This is what determines your karma, or penalty, if you will, of any wrongdoings in your journey. It is not some figure in white robes sitting on a judgment seat who passes this sentence. It is your own conscience that determines your own wrongdoing, that sets your own penalty or karma. You also determine the length of the sentence or karma that you owe to another. Question number 1. Not visiting their grandmother because they are a little bit bored by it and too busy? Answer. No one will incur karma from this unless it makes him feel guilty. If he feels guilty, then there will be karma, but not of a serious nature. It will most likely be repaid in some manner within the same lifetime. Question number 2. Not possessing emotional strength to leave a relationship in which your partner incites you to inflict pain on another. Actions you personally abhor, but feel powerless to resist the partner's will. Answer. This situation will cause much karma on the one whose conscience bothers them about the situation. In other words, if one is sufficiently evolved to know that what he is doing is wrong, and does not have the strength to remove himself from the situation that is causing him to commit the deeds that are bothering him, he will incur much karma. Question number 3. Denying spare change to a bum in the street. Answer. Karma will be incurred only if it bothers your conscience. If it does, it can easily be erased by giving change to the next bum you meet. Question number 4. Killing small flying insects which pose no particular threat to you. Answer. This will not cause karma because the insect is in the stage lower than that in which the soul was involved. You will not get karma from the first 3 kingdoms, but will with the 4th. The insect is still in the transitional stage from the 3rd kingdom to the 4th. In other words, humans will gain karma in mistreating animals because this is the same kingdom they themselves came from. The animals were allowed to follow the natural path of evolution, and the humans were mutations of this kingdom. Because the humans gained the soul, which is the piece of the divine, past a certain vibratory level, they will incur karma. Question number 5. Cheating on income taxes, even though the taxes are for immoral purposes. Answer. Karma will be incurred if it bothers your conscience. It matters not what the taxes are used for, because that is not your karmic concern. That is the karmic responsibility of those running your government. Your responsibility is to be as good a citizen as you can by obeying the laws of the society in which you live. Question number 6. Stealing items from a large national chain retail store. Answer. Answered in previous question. Question number 7. Being a peeping Tom and infringing on another person's right to privacy, though the victim never becomes aware of the peeping and is thus not harmed. Answer. What do you think? Question number 8. Can karma be erased by sincerely regretting an action one commits that is harmful or unthinking toward another? Answer. This is not usually enough to satisfy the soul. The soul is very demanding in that repayment in kind, when possible, be made. It knows that the experiencing of the wrongdoing is most likely the only thing that will prevent you from doing it again. Just regretting an action is not going to be a sufficient deterrent to your future actions in relation to this situation. Question number 9. Does karma only result from actions against people? How about a person who burns a forest or does some other kind of damage that does not directly affect people? Answer. This has pretty much been answered, but not clearly. When we said there would be no karma for killing an insect, we meant there would be no karma incurred against the insects themselves. You may incur karma with yourself by how you feel about your action. The same would be true about the forest or some other event. The karma would be with yourself, and the determining factor would be your motive for doing whatever it is you do, such as burning the forest. If it was an accident and your conscience is clear, and there will be no karma. If it was a deliberate malicious act intended to harm others, then there is much karma with yourself. Karma with yourself is the worst kind of karma to clear up. Usually karma with another is much more clearly defined and therefore more readily able to be cleared. Question number 10. Is karma very specific? If, for instance, as a youthful employee of a design studio, I stole magic markers from the company, will magic markers be stolen from me? Answer. It is specific to the point where the deed will probably be the same, but not specific items, as most circumstances would not lend themselves to that. In other words, you most likely will have something stolen from you at some point, but it probably will not be magic markers. Question number 11. Ignorance is no excuse for breaking the law, they say. If a person has absolutely no inkling that his actions toward another are wrong or hurtful, would he suffer bad karma? Answer. If he is dense enough to have no inkling that his actions were wrong, then he has not developed a conscience enough for there to be karma incurred. Question number 12. If a person does important acts of charity or kindness, though not believing in them, and only trying to make a good impression, would he garner good karma, even though deep down he was hypocritical? Answer. He would not garner good karma. There is no such thing as good karma. He would not gain bad karma either against anyone except himself. The only result of actions such as this is personal karma. Question number 13. Can a mass murderer actually get good karma by facilitating the deaths of certain of his victims who needed to die then, while getting bad karma from killing others and even erasing karma through arrangements with still others of those he killed on the earth plane? Answer. The only way this situation could take place would be possibly to erase karma. If this is what you mean by good karma, then the answer is yes. There are cases where one volunteers before entry to take on an assignment such as this, but they are few and far between. Incarnations are not planned with evil acts in the plans, only the situations and circumstances that can lend themselves to evil acts. The life of Hitler was an exception. He volunteered to do what he did to raise his own level to that where there would eventually be some hope for the soul that is his. Question number 14. Why do so many rock and roll stars die at an early age? Do they share a musical karma? Did they make pacts with the devil to achieve their successes, or were they all overdoing drugs? Answer. Most rock and roll stars misuse drugs. Also, the vibrations of the kind of music they perform inhibit the soul, while at the same time actually causing damage to the brain cells of the animal-based brain. Therefore, they are not operating with the full power of the animal-based brain, and the soul cannot enter to help the situation out. The deterioration process begins, and it is a downhill slide to the end of their life. Question number 15. If a gross act such as murder or injustice causes bad karma on the earth plane, please give an example of bad karma created by an upper causal level being. This would probably be a very subtle transgression of judgment, such as not meditating daily or spelling too much information to someone on a lower level than the guide. We are not sure what you mean by the upper causal level. When one gets to the 7th level of mind dimension, then he will no longer commit any act that would bring karma, or he would not be at that level. Those below the 7th level are still working on personal karma. They are working on clearing it up and will not knowingly commit any act that would bring on more karma. Most karma is incurred at the 3rd dimension. Some of it is partly from the 2nd, but as the first 2 dimensions have been closed off, any karma from below 3 is simply mass karma of evolution and not directly applicable to individuals. Past the level of 3, levels 4, 5, and 6 are the levels of cleaning up karma. As stated, someone, even those in the 4th mind dimension, will unwittingly cause karma, but not knowingly. The criteria for graduation from the earth plane are obedience to the universal laws freely given, unthinkingly given. In other words, there is no decision, no agonizing about your responses and reactions to any situation. The reason that graduation from the earth plane will be when the universal laws are being instinctively obeyed is because when that happens, you will no longer be bringing karma on yourself. You have to be totally free from all karma before you no longer have to reincarnate on the earth plane. As far as what actions bring on karma, this is a determination that is a very individual knowing, and if one isn't spiritually aware of this law, he can never be free of karma. He will eventually have to be given up on, be considered a laggard, and have to repeat 3rd dimensional life from a new beginning on another planet. When my son was young, I tried to have him learn several different musical instruments. Some I tried to teach him myself, and for others I sent him to different teachers for lessons. I wanted him to be a musician like me. I even bought him a set of drums when nothing else was working out. But he really knew all along what he wanted to do, computers. We got him the drum set when he was not quite 4 years old, but nothing came of any of my plans to make a musician out of him. When he was 12, we got him his first computer, and from that day on, we couldn't tear him away from it. I guess he really did know what he wanted to do, because he is now a computer scientist. He said he didn't know why he liked computers, they just seemed to hold a fascination for him. I guess they kind of did for me also. Before he was even born, I had bought myself a cardboard model of a computer, before they were even making computers for homes. I guess I must have been fascinated by them also, but not to the extent that he was. I'm glad he seemed to know what he wanted to do with his life. It certainly made the decision easier later on. When it came time for college, he knew what he wanted to study. Man's destiny is what he makes of it. The choices are ever one's own. The path that each one follows must be carved and cleared as one goes, as though clearing through a jungle. Cut away a dead branch here, pull out by the roots there, save this and discard that. But the goal must ever be before one. One simply can't just come into incarnation and eat, sleep, marry, beget children, and die without making some effort to figure out why they are here and what direction they need to progress in. To carve a path or try to carve a path without a goal in sight is useless, frustrating, disappointing, and self-defeating. All factors can be likened to obstacles on your path, such as barbed wire, deep holes, mud pits, and fences of all kinds. When the goal is present, the way or direction of the path to it necessarily becomes easier to lay out. Hundreds of false starts are made by everyone. Doubts and uncertainties are setbacks on this path. In each life, there is one overriding lesson, one that is all important, woven in with lesser lessons, those that need to be learned but can be postponed if necessary. This one overall lesson is the purpose of each incarnation, one major step up the ladder of evolution. It must be found and then become the goal that determines which direction the path must be in. Each one, presently on the earth plane, chose goals before entering. For the most part, one goal has to do with your physical evolution, meaning your exoteric outer activities. This is wherein the answer to your career choices lies. The other goal will have to do with your spiritual evolution, and this will determine how you accomplish the materialistic goal. The spiritual goal needs to be determined first. Your materialistic outer activity, in other words, your choice of careers, will be led and directed by this spiritual goal. There are usually numerous ways this can be accomplished. Your career choices will be limited only by the limits of your imagination. Each person's goals or lessons are so individual in each life that no one has the right to judge your actions. It is a personal thing between you and your God within. Only you can judge you, and you must use understanding and compassion and knowledge of why you are here to do this intelligently. You must have the inner strength to steer your own course. Ask yourself these questions each and every day. What do I want to accomplish? How can I best accomplish it? Will I have to make changes to accomplish it? How many others will I affect? Will they suffer from my decision? Do I really want to accomplish this? What am I willing to sacrifice? Is it really important to my evolution? If so, what am I waiting for? How much time do I think I have left? There is an exercise or technique that will help one learn to separate the various types of inner dialogue, thoughts, emotions, and so on, from the subtle inner voice of guidance. This would be to list a group of 7 statements that you believe to be the truth as far as what you seem to feel are the goals for this lifetime. Give serious thought to attitude problems, reaction problems, relationship problems, and so on, before listing what you consider to be your goals. Meditate on this list of 7 goals for 1 week. At the end of that period, cut the list to 5 for another week. At the end of that week, cut the list to 3. Then for each of the next 2 weeks, meditate on these 3, lining them up in your thoughts as to first priority, second in importance, and third. At that time, take the most important goal and meditate on it for about 10 minutes each day for a period of about 1 week, determining if any of the goal has been met, and if not, how it could be. Break the goal into segments so the task doesn't seem so overpowering, and meditate on which segment should be tackled first. Then plan how to tackle it. Do you see a way that circumstances could be set up to achieve this first step? If so, set them up. If not, contemplate another way to accomplish it. It may be that you will need to read a certain book, see a certain video, go to a certain area to observe things, talk to certain people, or take certain classes. By focusing on your goals, you will be focusing on your inner guidance, allowing it full expression, and eliminating the thoughts and emotions of daily life. You will learn to recognize the inner voice of guidance because of this focus on your goals. In your search for goals, you will be led to the extent that you continue your inner journey and stay in touch with your guiding energies. When the time is right to give up certain things you are involved in and move on to something new, you will know it. As time moves on, you may feel an undeniable desire to begin something totally unknown to you now. Perhaps you will run across something in your studies that will very suddenly be as a light turning on, and you will know this is to be your project, the one that you wished to accomplish when you reincarnated. You will just know very strongly when the time is right, and it will be of a nature that will help your fellow man. The answers you need to have are inside. Pull them out and be on your way to the start of a more productive and happy life.